Before I get into the topic, I want to say that I was in a drug-like state where I cannot even speak because I'm in this silent mode and my thinking kind of decreases or it comes to a stop state where I'm so silent I cannot even talk. But during this time of like 3 to 5 minutes, my thinking started to pop up again, my thoughts and everything, because I want to make this video. And slowly I came out of that silent state where I'm able to speak. But if you still see me, I'm not talking too fast, but it's coming up because my thoughts are thinking about the video and what to say. So when you are in this drug-like state, you cannot even speak. You're in this buzz state. And today we're going to talk about why do you experience that drug-like state when you meditate, and is it truly an enlightened state? This is a very important topic, so listen carefully. And I'm talking about this topic of meditation being drug-like state from my real experience. So if you guys are meditating and if you're experiencing this drug-like state, maybe you can relate. Maybe this information will be helpful in your meditative approach. So first, let's talk about a normal state, a normal human being. A normal human being usually is in a sleep state. Even me, as I'm speaking or as I'm doing some work, I'll be in some sort of a sleep state, which means that I'm walking, but I'm thinking about something else. Which means that you are walking, but at the same time, you're thinking about your mom, your dad, or your sister, or your family, friends, which means that you're not alive, you're not present in that moment, and you're in a form of a sleep state. This is a normal tendency of human beings, being in a sleep state, which is a normal state for a human being. So let's clearly understand the normal state of human being who is talking to other person, but he's asleep inside because he's thinking about something else. Or he's eating, but at the same time, probably he's thinking about his office work, or probably he's thinking about some trouble he had, which means that he's in a sleep state where he's not doing a conscious eating and being alive in that moment. So that's an asleep state, and it's a normal state of human being. Drug-like experience while you meditate. So the drug-like experience while you meditate, you experience this because when you meditate, you start to become alive. The way you start to become alive, you become conscious of your environment, you become alive, you be in the moment, and your thought process kind of decreases. And why you feel the buzz, or why do you feel the drug-like experience? There is stages to that when you experience it. So this drug-like experience can be a minor experience that you have. It's because your thought process kind of decreases. Imagine yourself being in a state where your mind or the thought process is pondering on you. It's like going from one thought to other thought, one thought to other thought, one thought to other thought. And when you meditate, this uh, flow of thoughts suddenly decreases. Due to that shift of decrease in thoughts, you suddenly become alive and you suddenly become in this drug-like experience, because you feel like there is something emptiness in your head, and there is a heavy lift of load that you have taken and dropped it somewhere. So when you are in that state, you will feel like a drug-like experience, because you like for example, like, you had this migraine problem and suddenly the migraine is gone, suddenly you lifted off something. That's the minor experience, that's the initial state, right? Now suddenly you become alive, you start to, because of this thought process, you would not be able to vision what's happening around you, you would not be able to vision your surroundings, you cannot become alive. But once you meditate and your thought process decreases, you become alive, and then you start to become conscious of your environment and surroundings around. Now, this will look like a buzz or a drug-like experience, and this is the initial state. When you go deep dive into this liveliness or being alive and being conscious, what happens is the buzz increases even more, like, because there is a sudden shift in your whole body and the whole cells. There's a sudden shift, because once the thought process is pondering you, or it's being so talkative, it affects your whole body, it makes you blind. And the thing is, once you meditate, everything opens up, and each of the cells and everything opens up, your mind's open, you can clearly see what's happening inside you. And the thing is, it doesn't happen all of a sudden. If you meditate for a certain number of years, these things will happen eventually. Your cells will open up. You can see the cells opening up. You can see there's no eye. You can see that each cell's acting on its own role. You can differentiate and see your mind, thoughts, and each cell acting on its own. And you can understand that there is no I, there is no me, because everything is everything has its own personality, every cell has its own character, and every cell is a living organism. You can clearly see that when you actually are in this state of liveliness. So when you experience all this thing, it's like a drug-like experience. And you can experience even more of this drug-like experience when you focus on the third eye. In order for you to go into that state, first you need to be really conscious. You need to become alive. And that's the state when you actually focus on this particular point, you are really alive and you can really experience this point, and you can really see things and you can really experience things. And this can be like a drug-like experience. Now let's talk about, is this drug-like experience truly an enlightened state? This is an interesting topic. Now, the enlightened state, we are in that enlightened state, but we're gonna experience this drug-like pattern, because we're gonna shift from being alive, being conscious, and again we're gonna go back to our normal state. Like for example, I told you like I was in this bus kind of a state. Now I'm talking like, my everything started, my mind is, my thoughts and my thinking process started to flow, you know. When I was in that meditative state, my thinking kind of slows down. It slows down to such a level. Sometimes there is no thinking at all, and because the thing is, you let it go, and it's so fast you cannot even see the thought process, or you cannot even. Sometimes it goes blank. That's what I'm saying, and you are in the silent mode. But within this 2 or 3 minutes, I started to speak again. It's becoming fast. So what I'm saying is, this drug-like experience, you're gonna feel it all the time if you're living in this real world and you're watching TV, you are talking to your parents or your family, or you living in the real world. The mind starts to flow again, and it starts to think again, and it starts to ponder again, and that our all of the cells in our body will react in the same fashion as our thought process start to flow. And the thing is, when you go and meditate again, you're gonna again feel this drug-like experience, because now you're slowing down your thought process. Now the enlightened beings, the enlightened people, they're always in that state where they are alive. They are in the now. They are always in the state. So they don't have to experience drug-like state, because probably I'm using the word drug because for me it's a drug-like experience, because I'm going back and forth, back and forth. For them, they're alive all the time, and they don't even need to meditate to be in that state. And I don't know, being 24 hours in that state, how it's gonna be, and or being in that state, being in that enlightened state all the time. You might not even feel the drug-like experience, because you are in this particular state all the time. So the enlightened beings, the people who are really enlightened, they're already enlightened. They're already alive. So all the time, they are in this buzz state or being alive state. And as I say, they might talk, they might be in a silent zone. And I think really enlightened beings, it might be hard for them to even talk, because they are so alive. And this pops up another interesting question of, because for me, if I am in that state, I cannot even talk, and it might take, one word to other word might take 2 or 3 minutes gap, because I'm letting go of my thoughts, and I'm not trying to catch it or say it. I'm in the silent state, which makes me wonder, the people who are really talking, do they really know what enlightenment means? Do they really know what really enlightenment means? Because according to me, when you are in this enlightened state or being alive, it can be really hard to talk. It can be really hard to talk, and there should be a minute thinking process which should run so that you should be able to speak. That's been my experience, and these videos are really helping me, and self-study has been improving. And as I need to do this on a regular basis, it's improving me tremendously as a human being. and I'm able to more understand deeply about coming alive. Enlightenment is just a word, but it can confuse you. Just, I'm not keen with that enlightenment word, but I'm trying to understand all of this, you know. So hopefully you understood the difference between a drug state and being in enlightenment state. For me right now, through my studies and everything, right now, it might change in future. Right now, what I'm thinking, the drug state is because of the shift of your thinking process from a lot of thinking to less thinking, or thinking minimizing to a certain level. So it will feel like a drug-like experience, and the more you become alive, you would feel more of this drug experience. And because you're going into the real world and you are talking to someone, those things affect. Even I was talking about the 5 minute thing where my thinking process started again, and then, you know, I was just in the silent state now because I'm wanted to talk about the video. Everything again started, the flow started, and the I'm kind of coming to my normal state of being sleepy. But the enlightened being, they're alive all the time. They are in the moment and they are in the now. And if you also talk to these people, they might talk very slow because they are in this enlightenment state, or in the state of being alive. It will be really hard for them to even talk. And I'm also thinking when they talk, the thinking process starts to come alive, starts to flow, because they have to respond. The thoughts flow. And once nobody's around, they don't have to talk. Again, they go into this enlightened state of being conscious and being alive. So enlightenment state is where you're really alive, really aware of surroundings, really in the moment. All right. Hopefully understood. Hopefully I'm able to explain you. I didn't confuse you. All right. Thank you and have a blessed day. Namaste.